Alright, I'm Scott. I manufacture some modules under the name the Harvestman Digital Audio Electronics. And I've been pretty busy this year developing some new devices. First up, in January, I completed my second model of digital oscillator called the Piston Honda. It's a single oscillator design which uses 8-bit wavetable lookup to generate its timbre. I'm going to plug this in and we're going to have a listen. It uses 8-bit wavetables that are 256 samples long, like the blasted mini wave. Actually, the data format is identical, but the physical package for containing waveforms is different. Chips standard with 2 banks of waveforms. The first is kind of rough and noisy. And the second one is all additive. It also has a morphing discontinuity parameter where you can hear how we have we're smoothly morphing between waveforms here. This knob here allows you to adjust how many steps there are. That's voltage controllable as well. There's an optional expander for this module that plugs right into the back of the PCB, and it adds 6 more slots for waveforms. It can also be user programmed with the proper software. To access it, you'd hold down the ROM select button until the display's changed, and then you'd select the addresses of the chips you'd like to load into the 2 slots with the 2 waveform selection knobs. There's a third mode on this module that lets you plug in an external audio signal and shape it with the Piston Honda's wavetable. We're now listening to a sine wave from this oscillator being shaped through the Piston Honda. When the external input is active, the big knob on the Piston Honda, the main frequency control, changes its function to be a gain control. So in external input mode, you basically have 3 different dimensions of timbre modifications. Okay, another new module that I've completed recently is this really strange Russian design that I licensed from the inventor of the Polybox. It's the sub-octave circuit from a Guitar 4 effects unit that he produced in the late 80s. And it works kind of different from other guitar octave effects because instead of simply generating a square wave as the divided signal, it takes the signal, which is tracking the input frequency and dividing by 2. It uses that to key a specialized sample and hold, which gives you something that resembles the input signal, but it sounds like it's not an octave lower most of the time. So let's have a listen to. exploit that behavior, I've put a stability knob up at the top of the module, which allows you to kind of zero in on where it jumps around if you give it something it doesn't understand. Another new design that I have completed is called the Stillson Hammer. It's basically a burst generator with 6 different outputs. And burst generator works by receiving a trigger signal, and it generates a series of triggers in rapid succession. So I have parameters for the frequency that the trigger events come out, and the number of events in the burst. But what's special about my design is that it has 6 outputs, and you can select how many outputs it spans across, and whether it runs through them in sequence, goes back and forth, or random. So